Do you get angry when you see articles written about you questioning your leadership and your personality?
No, I get bothered when I see things that aren't fair, that aren't journalistically sound, that are completely and 100% dishonest.
Who is unfair to you?
I want to be careful here. One thing I learned from the original explanation back in Kansas City is you have to pick the right venue so your message can be heard in full and not taken out of context. I'm going to explain everything on the j.school blog in writing.
j.school.
Yeah, j.school. You don't need a .com, just j.school. I'm going to explain everything in detail there because it's a more nuanced discussion that needs to be had than what can transpire in a radio show environment where people want to pick and choose little sound bites and extract them and then turn them into something that you're not really saying.
Then let me go and dig deeper, burrow in on the Undefeated. It was going to be, for lack of a better sentence, the Black Grantland, a thoughtful, intellectual probe into sports and issues. Grantland certainly had critical success. Financially, I have no idea. Undefeated was going to be yours. You were put in a leadership position. I didn't know if you wanted it or not. You were harshly criticized in a few blog articles regarding that. Is there a truth, or you really got clobbered for it? Although it never transpired, but mostly your management skills. Did the introspection of that, did it bother you? Some of the clubbing, some of the criticism on that?
Yes and no. Understand this. I'm a very flawed human being, and I've never hid that. And so I'm someone who makes mistakes, like the overwhelming majority of people that I've come in contact with. And so I don't have a problem with people pointing out the mistakes I made. I come from a sports background. I grew up in the church. My leadership model and concept probably works better for a football locker room than it does for a newsroom setting. All fair criticism. But there was far more to what was transpiring at a startup company that never started up. Startups have problems. Startups and new managers have problems. They work through them. They get trained. A lot of things happen. Mistakes are made. I don't know if you've hired very many people, but hiring people is really hard.
Yeah.
And people make mistakes. And at experience companies, at big corporate experience, they can make a ton of mistakes and never blink. Because if you have 5,000 employees, you need about 300 of them to be good. Everybody else can ride their coattails. When you have 10 or 7, everybody's got to be really good, and it's hard. There's a figuring out process. So I think the full explanation of what transpired and what really gone on with that website, it's going to take some time to explain that for people to really understand all the other issues that were involved. And so if anything bothered me about what's been written, it's just like people have judged it from like a very unsophisticated, childish point of view.